My dear friend, if you are standing on the edge of despair today, if your heart feels burdened and your hands seem bound, if the road before you appears blocked and the walls feel as though they are closing in, hear this clearly. God will take care of your impossible situation. Not perhaps, not someday, not by chance, He will. This is not mere human encouragement. This is a divine word from the one who made heaven and earth, the one who has never failed and never will. What feels impossible to you is effortless to Him. What weighs you down is light in His hands. What leaves you confused is already fully understood by Him, because before you ever recognized the problem, God had already established the answer. So many people live carrying burdens far too heavy for them to bear. They hide them behind smiles. They carry them into the night and wrestle with them in silence. They weep in secret and wonder whether anyone sees their pain. But I came to tell you today, God sees. God knows. And God is not troubled or anxious. He is working with perfect wisdom. You call it impossible because you have reached the end of your options. You have exhausted every door you knew to knock on, every connection, every strategy. But God is not restricted by your resources. He is not limited by your past, your failures, or your qualifications. God is not intimidated by the size of your mountain. He is the one who formed that mountain. God moves most powerfully in the realm of the impossible. That is where His glory is revealed most clearly. If your own strength could solve it, you would never need to depend on Him. But when your strength reaches its end, that is where His glory begins. When you have no more moves left, God steps in. When your strength is gone, God makes His presence known. When everyone else leaves, God remains beside you. Do not be deceived by what your eyes can see. God is working in silence, in mystery, and in ways that often remain hidden until the miracle is finished. You may be facing something right now that has crushed your hope. Perhaps it is a diagnosis that shook your spirit. Perhaps it is a relationship that left deep wounds inside you. Maybe it's the burden of poverty, or the pain of being betrayed. Maybe it's the weight of anxiety or the fear of what tomorrow holds. But I declare with boldness, God will handle it. God is not asking you to understand the situation. He is asking you to trust Him in it. He is not waiting for your qualifications. He is waiting for your surrender. So many people say, I've tried everything and nothing works. But have you given it to God fully? Not partially? Not with a backup plan? Not with conditions? Have you laid it on the altar of faith and walked away saying, God, I can't fix this, but I trust that you can? That's where peace lives. That's where transformation begins. That's where the hand of the Almighty moves. You see, God doesn't need favorable conditions to act. God doesn't check the economy before blessing you. He doesn't need the approval of people to lift you up. He doesn't wait for permission from your past to unlock your future. He speaks and it is done. He commands and nature obeys. He calls light out of darkness and it shines. He opens doors no man can shut, and He shuts doors no man can open. He parts seas for those who walk in faith, and He makes a way where there was no way. There's a power in calling on God in your lowest hour. There's a strength in kneeling when the world expects you to collapse. There's a miracle in the midnight moment when all seems lost, and yet you still believe. The pain you're in now may be part of the preparation. The delay may be divine. The silence may be sacred. But the breakthrough is on its way, not because of your strength, but because of God's mercy. There's no situation too dead for God to revive. There's no heart too broken for God to restore. There's no future too uncertain for God to secure. He has done it before, He will do it again. He rescued you when you didn't even know you needed saving. He protected you from battles you never even saw. He held back the storm until you could bear it. And if He brought you this far, He won't leave you now. Some of you are waiting for a sign, a miracle, a breakthrough, and you feel like it's too late. But I want to tell you, God is never late. He is never early. He is always on time. Not your time, His time. And when His time comes, it will be perfect. The doors will swing open. The chains will fall. The tears you cried in the dark will be turned into strength in the daylight. The pain that pressed you down will be the very foundation God uses to elevate you. He wastes nothing, not a moment, not a tear, not a heartbreak. It all works together for His purpose. I know it's hard to believe when you've been waiting for so long. I know the silence of God can feel like rejection. But let me remind you, God's silence is not absence. Sometimes His silence is preparation. Sometimes He's building your faith, developing your character, and removing what you don't need so He can bless you with what you do. Don't rush the process. Don't abort the mission. Don't surrender the promise. What is impossible with man is always possible with God. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not overlooked. The very thing that others walked away from, God is walking toward. The mess you're in, He is about to turn into a message. The pain you've carried, He's about to convert into purpose. The struggle that made you cry will be the same struggle that brings you closer to Him. He does not waste suffering. He transforms it. God sees every sleepless night. He hears every unspoken prayer. He catches every falling tear, and He is closer than you think. He is not a distant figure in the sky. He is near to the brokenhearted. He is strength for the weary. He is a refuge in the storm. He is your ever-present help in time of need. You don't have to shout to reach Him. He is already listening. You don't have to fight alone. He is already fighting for you. Faith is not pretending that things are easy. Faith is declaring that God is still in control when nothing makes sense. Faith is standing in the fire and knowing that the flames will not consume you because the one who walks with you is greater than the fire. It's holding on when there's no reason left to hold on except your belief that God is still God. And hear me well, God is not done with you. I don't care how far you've fallen, how deep the hole, how bad the situation. If there's breath in your lungs, God has more for you. If you're still standing, it's because He's not finished. You may have come through hell, but you came through. You may be bruised, but you're not broken. You may be tired, but you're still chosen. Don't measure your future by your present situation. Don't let the current struggle define your destiny. Don't look at what you lack. Look at who you have. You have God. You have the author of life, the sustainer of hope, the mover of mountains, and He will handle what you can't. The enemy wants you to believe that it's over, that you've lost, that it's too late. But God is the one who writes the final chapter. And until God says it's over, it's not over. Until God says enough, the storm won't last. Until God speaks, the waters won't calm. But when He does, everything will shift. You may be walking through a situation right now that looks like it's going to crush you. But look deeper. What if this is not punishment, but positioning? What if this is not the end, but the setup for your next chapter? What if God is not breaking you, but reshaping you? Trust that God sees what you cannot. Trust that His hands are molding something beautiful even in the dust. Trust that even in the chaos, there is a divine order at work. And when the time is right, God will reveal it. When the time is right, He will deliver you. When the time is right, He will show you why the waiting was necessary, why the pain was purposeful, and why the door had to remain closed until He was ready to open it. Hold your head high, even when the weight of the world is on your shoulders. Speak life over yourself, even when your surroundings scream defeat. Declare victory, even when all you see is loss. Because you are not walking alone. God walks with you. God fights for you. God shields you. And God will finish what He started in you. So take that impossible situation, hold it up before God, and let go. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to control every detail. All you have to do is believe. All you have to do is trust. All you have to do is stay the course, because your help comes not from the mountains, not from people, not from systems. It comes from God. He is not finished with your story. He is only just beginning. The world may see a problem, but God sees a possibility. The world may say it's over, but God says, watch what I can do. The world may see defeat, but God is writing a victory. He will bring beauty out of your ashes. He will bring clarity out of confusion. He will bring strength out of struggle. And He will handle what you thought could never be handled. You may not see it yet. You may not feel it yet. But keep walking. Keep believing. Keep praying. Keep hoping. Keep declaring, because God is still working. And the very situation you thought was going to destroy you, God is about to use it to bless you. And when you begin to truly surrender that impossible situation to God, not halfway, not with one hand still holding on to your own logic, but fully and without reservation, you will begin to witness the unraveling of divine plans that were already in motion. God never sleeps. God never hesitates. God never forgets His servants. And in His infinite wisdom, He allows pressure not to punish, but to produce. Sometimes what we call a delay is not denial. It is divine development. It is God shaping your endurance, refining your faith, and purging you of dependence on things that were never meant to carry you. Many times God will strip away every false foundation so that you will see that He alone is your rock. He will allow you to feel the fragility of human plans so you can learn to depend on divine timing. He will let the noise of the world surround you just to show you that His voice still speaks peace in the storm. That's how God operates. Not always through comfort, but always through purpose. Not always through ease, but always with precision. He does not waste your suffering. He uses it as a seed. And when God plants a seed, He waters it with purpose, covers it with silence, and waits for the right season to bring the harvest. There are moments when the sky over your life will grow dark, not because God has left you, but because He's preparing to reveal light in a way you've never seen. The darkness isn't always punishment, it's often preparation. When God hid you, it wasn't rejection, it was protection. When He shut that door, it wasn't failure, it was redirection. When He took that person away, it wasn't abandonment, it was alignment. You see, God sees the end from the beginning. While you weep in confusion, He's working in clarity. While you mourn what you lost, He's preparing what you'll gain. And God is not bound by your calendar. His miracles are not chained to your clock. You may feel behind, like others have passed you by, like life has forgotten you, but God does not forget. God delays only to deliver something greater than what you expected. And when He moves, it will not be small. It will not be ordinary. It will not be explainable. It will be undeniably Him, a result so precise, so timely, that no one can say it was luck or chance. That is the glory of God. You may have looked around and thought everyone else is getting blessed but me. Everyone else is moving forward, and I'm still stuck in this same struggle. But let me declare this over your life. God is not ignoring you. He is preparing you. Sometimes the longer the preparation, the greater the assignment. Sometimes the deeper the valley, the higher the mountain He's taking you to. And that situation you've labeled as impossible, that's the very stage God will use to showcase His might. Don't let the temporary storm make you forget the eternal promise. Don't let the weight of the trial make you question the worth of the journey. God didn't bring you this far to leave you in the middle. What God starts, He finishes, and His finish is always full, always good, always right on time. Don't you give up now. Don't let the enemy convince you that this is the end. Don't let your emotions sabotage your faith. God is about to turn it around, but He's waiting for you to trust Him completely. Not with words, but with your whole being. Let your tears water your prayers. Let your weariness be the fire that ignites your cry for help. Let your desperation become your declaration. God, I can't do this, but I know You can. That's not weakness, that's power. That's the kind of surrender that opens the heavens. That's the kind of faith that stirs the unseen and moves the hand of God. There's a reason why God allows you to face things that are too big for you, so you stop relying on your strength. God wants to prove that He is enough, not your qualifications, not your connections, not your resources, Him and Him alone. When you have nothing left but God, you will find that God is more than enough. He becomes your provider, your comforter, your defender, your waymaker. In the midnight hour, He is your peace. In the courtroom, He is your advocate. In the hospital room, He is your healer. In the silence, He is your assurance. So don't chase comfort, chase God. Don't chase outcomes, chase obedience. Because when you walk with God, even when the terrain is rough, the destination is worth it. Even when the valley is dark, the presence of God makes it holy. The world may call you foolish for believing in what you can't see. But when the breakthrough comes, they'll have no choice but to acknowledge that something divine touched your life. And let this truth anchor your soul. God never loses control. Not in the chaos, not in your confusion, not in your crisis. Even when everything seems to fall apart, God is holding everything together. You may not understand the how, you may never know the why, but if you trust the who, you won't need to. You will walk by faith and not by sight. You will walk with confidence, not because the road is smooth, but because the one who walks with you is mighty. And you are not walking for no reason. You're not suffering without purpose. You are on a divine path. Even if you don't recognize the scenery, That situation that looks impossible to you is the very ground where God is planting your next season of testimony. He's going to bring you through in such a way that others will look at your life and see God's fingerprints all over it. Not because you were strong, but because you were surrendered. Not because you had it figured out, but because you let God take over. And when He brings you out, and He will, you won't just survive, you will thrive. You won't come out limping, you'll come out lifted. You won't come out bitter, you'll come out better. And the same mouths that spoke against you will witness your rising. The same hands that tried to block your blessing will watch it overflow, because no one can stop what God has ordained. No one can reverse what God has spoken. No one can silence what God has breathed life into. So right now, even in the midst of the storm, praise Him like the answer is already on the way. Thank Him like the burden is already lifting. Walk like the chains have already broken. Speak like the door is already opening. Because when God steps in, everything must shift. Mountains move, walls fall, enemies flee, and the impossible becomes your testimony. This is your moment of faith. This is your hour of surrender. Don't wait for everything to be perfect to trust God. Trust Him in the mess. Trust Him in the uncertainty. Trust Him in the silence. Trust Him when it hurts. Because the God who holds galaxies in place is also holding your situation in His hand, and He will not fail. Even now, angels are being dispatched. Solutions are being formed. Answers are aligning. Help is on the way. Not by might, not by power, but by God's Spirit, His decree, and His unstoppable will. Keep your heart pure. Keep your spirit humble. Keep your eyes on the Almighty. He's about to take that impossibility and turn it into undeniable proof of His greatness. And I say this with unshakable conviction. When you finally step back and stop trying to fix everything with your limited strength, that is the moment God steps in with His limitless power. You cannot carry what was meant for His shoulders. You cannot solve what was never in your hands to control. You weren't created to figure out every detail of your deliverance. You were created to trust the one who sees the end from the beginning and holds the keys to every door. When your situation surpasses reason, that's where faith rises. When the path is no longer visible, that's when you walk in trust, knowing that God is the one directing every unseen step. Too often we bind ourselves with fear, thinking the impossible is the end. But the impossible is not the end. It's the beginning of God's intervention. God waits until the noise dies down, until your plans crumble, until your pride surrender, so that you will know it was never you, but always Him. That is where true peace lives, not in understanding the storm, but in knowing the storm obeys God's voice. Not in avoiding the fire, but in knowing the fire cannot consume you, because God walks with you inside of it. Do not fear the delay. Do not resent the struggle. Some blessings take longer, because they are built to last. And when God builds, He digs deep. He doesn't construct on shallow ground. He strengthens your roots before revealing your branches. What looks like a dry season is often the deep work of God establishing you, grounding you, removing what would collapse under the weight of the blessing to come. At times, God slows your steps because the blessing ahead still needs time to be fully prepared. At times, He keeps you from what you think you want because it would damage what He knows you truly need. God's timing is not the same as yours, but His timing is always flawless. You do not need to know when, you only need to know who. You do not need every detail explained, you only need to rest in the confidence that God never gets it wrong. He uses pressure to push weakness out of you. He uses silence to tune your ears to His whisper. He uses waiting to deepen your dependence on Him. Because when the blessing arrives, and it will, you will not only thank Him for what He gave, you will praise Him for the process that prepared you to receive it. And what about those seasons when everything seems to fall apart? When the foundation splits and the roof gives way? That is when most people panic, run, and surrender. But not you, because you know what many do not. God is present even in the ruins. He is not only the God of the mountaintop, He is also the God of broken places. He rebuilds, He restores, He revives. And when God rebuilds, He does not simply return you to what you once had. He brings you into more peace, more wisdom, more strength, more clarity. He allows brokenness to become the path to blessing. He uproots so He can plant again. He allows the storm to wash away what was never strong enough to carry your future. You may not be able to see it yet, but you are stepping into something greater. The tears you cry in secret are watering a harvest still unseen. The prayers you whisper in weakness are resounding through heaven. The burdens you carry in silence are being lifted by the hands of the Almighty. God does not ignore pain. He answers it with power. He does not overlook faith. He responds to it with favor. And when He decides to move on your behalf, it won't be subtle. It will be supernatural. The very thing that once mocked you will witness your rise. The very people who doubted you will see the glory of God unfold in your life. You are not stuck. You are stationed. You are not forgotten. You are being fortified. You are not abandoned. You are being appointed. God is setting you up, not for survival, but for significance. He's preparing a tabernacle, just a meal, but a message, a testimony, a witness to the world that God alone is able, that He alone brings victory out of defeat, peace out of chaos, and beauty out of ashes. He turns the weeping into rejoicing, the burden into blessing, the silence into song. And when you look back on this season, on this so-called impossible situation, you will not remember the pain as much as you'll remember the presence of God that sustained you through it. You will say, if it had not been for God, I would have fallen. I would have given up. I would have broken apart. But you didn't, because God held you together. He covered you. He whispered strength into your bones. He gave you just enough to take one more step, and step by step, He brought you through. The power of God is not limited by logic. He does not need evidence to perform a miracle. He does not wait for validation to do the impossible. God speaks, and the universe aligns. God decrees, and nature obeys. When God says it is time, nothing can stop it. Not the economy, not your past, not the opinions of others, not the laws of man. What God wills will be, and no force in hell or on earth can rewrite what God has already authored. So lift your head. Even if you feel weak, declare hope. Even if your heart trembles, speak victory. Even if your surroundings scream defeat, because your power is not in your voice, it's in who stands behind it. And God is behind you, God is before you, God is around you, and God is within reach. Call on Him, not as a last resort, but as your first line of defense. Seek Him, not because you're desperate for a quick fix, but because you know that only God can make the crooked path straight and the shattered heart whole. Let this truth penetrate your soul. God is not intimidated by the magnitude of your struggle. He is not overwhelmed by the chaos around you. He doesn't flinch when others fail you. He doesn't withdraw when the pressure builds. In fact, it is in those very moments when the weight of the world seems unbearable that God shows Himself strongest. Because when you are at your weakest, His strength shines brightest. Let others lean on their strategies. Let others trust in titles and connections and the opinions of men. But you, dear soul, stand firm in this. God is enough. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have the answers. You don't need to have a plan. You just need to believe that the same God who breathed life into you is still working behind the scenes, weaving together every broken thread of your life into a masterpiece. That door may not look like you expected. It may not be built the way you imagined. But when God opens it, no one can shut it. And when He closes a door, even if you don't understand why, it's because what's behind it would have delayed your destiny or destroyed your peace. God sees what you cannot. He sees the trap in the opportunity. He sees the burden behind the blessing. He sees the danger behind the desire. So when He redirects you, it's not rejection, it's protection. When He says, "Not yet," it's not punishment, it's preparation. When He says no, it's because something greater is on the way. The journey of faith is not always paved with ease. It is not always smooth, but it is always purposeful. God does not take you through valleys to leave you there. He takes you through to teach you, to grow you, and to reveal Himself in ways that can only be seen when your hands are empty and your heart is desperate. When there is nothing left but your faith in God, that is when you become truly rich. That is when you learn to walk not by sight, not by approval, not by comfort, but by the fire of trust burning deep in your soul. Do not underestimate the value of the valley. It is in the valley where roots grow deep. It is in the hidden places where God does His deepest work. You are not being buried, you are being planted. You are not being forgotten, you are being formed. The soil may be dark, the process may be slow, but God does not rush growth. He does not create weak foundations. What He is building in you cannot be shaken. It may take longer than you planned, but it will stand longer than you dreamed. And yes, people may walk away. They may mock your faith. They may not understand why you still pray, why you still hope, why you still believe when nothing seems to be changing. But don't you dare be discouraged by those who only live by what they see. You are not walking by human sight. You are walking by divine revelation. God is not a myth. God is not a distant concept. God is the living, ever-present sustainer of all things. He is nearer than the breath in your lungs. He is closer than the thoughts in your mind. He is with you not only in your victories, but in your darkest, most desperate hour. Let the world put its trust in man-made systems. Let others chase applause, validation, material gain. But you trust in the God who never fails, the God who does not bend to pressure, the God who is not swayed by popular opinion, the God who is the same yesterday, today, and forever. When everything else fades, He remains. When people disappoint you, He strengthens you. When life wounds you, He heals you. And when the world tells you it's over, God says, "I am just beginning." So I ask you today, what are you holding on to that you need to release into God's hands? Is it fear? Is it control? Is it shame from your past? Is it the pain of unanswered questions? Let it go. Let it fall. Let it break if it must. Because whatever you place in God's hands becomes holy. Whatever you surrender to Him becomes His responsibility. And God never mismanages what belongs to Him. You may think your faith is too small, that your hope is too weak, but even the smallest seed, when placed in the soil of surrender, can grow into something unshakable when God is the one nurturing it. Faith is not about how strong you feel. It's about how much you trust the one who is truly strong. You don't have to carry the world. You just need to rest in the one who already does. And in your midnight hour, when no one answers the phone, when the silence screams louder than your thoughts, when sleep evades you and anxiety wraps itself around your chest, cry out to God. Not with perfect words, not with rehearsed prayers, just cry out from the depths of your soul. He hears you. He honors you. He answers. Not always in the way you expect, but always in the way you need. God doesn't just bring you out, He brings you out changed. He doesn't just remove the burden, He teaches you how to walk lighter. He doesn't just end the storm, He teaches you how to find peace in the storm. Because real strength is not in escaping struggle. It is in walking through it while trusting that God is still working, when you can't see the work being done. Let your faith be louder than your fear. Let your surrender be stronger than your worry. Let your praise rise above your problem. Because when you magnify God above your situation begins to shrink. When you shift your focus from the impossibility of the moment to the capability of the Creator, everything changes. Not always on the outside, but something begins to rise inside of you. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a vessel of God's power. You are not defined by what you've lost. You are defined by what you carry. Endurance, strength, unshakable faith. You are not alone in this battle. God goes before you, stands beside you, and surrounds you. You don't need to fear the future because God holds it. You don't need to dread the unknown because nothing is unknown to God. And listen closely, the very area of your life where you feel the weakest is often the very place where God wants to show His strength. The very scar you hide is the very place God wants to place His glory. The very failure you regret is the place He will use to birth your testimony. What you consider your greatest embarrassment, God may use as your greatest empowerment. He does not call the flawless, He calls the willing. He does not require perfection, He responds to surrender. And He does not judge you by where you are right now, He sees where He's taking you. And He is not finished with you, not even close. That impossible situation may be the very place where your greatest miracle will take place. Don't run from it. Don't hide from it. Don't curse it. Instead, declare over it, God will handle this, and walk forward with peace, because He absolutely will. So rise up, not in your own strength, but in the strength that flows from trusting in the one who reigns over all. The strength that comes not from control, but from surrender. The strength that comes when you finally stop striving and start resting in the truth that God is in charge. You were never meant to carry what God has already claimed. You were never asked to fix what only God can heal. You were never expected to understand every twist internally, to walk with faith that the path was drawn by His hand, and His hand does not tremble. There is no chaos too deep for God to come. There is no fire too hot for God to walk you through. There is no prison so tight that God cannot break the chains. He is the opener of what man calls shut. He is the lifter of heads when shame weighs them down. He is the restorer of hope when the heart has gone numb. And when you think all is lost, when your resources are gone, your strength is dried up, and your soul is weary, God speaks one word, and suddenly what looked dead begins to live again. You see, God doesn't need the approval of people to bless you. He doesn't wait for a committee to validate your worth. He doesn't need the economy to be favorable or the circumstances to be ideal. God creates His own conditions. He brings rivers through deserts. He brings light into the darkest night. He brings breakthrough through walls that looked impenetrable. He specializes in writing victory on pages stained with loss. That's the power of God. Quiet, sovereign, absolute. And some of you need to hear this truth today. Your tears have not gone unnoticed. Every cry, every prayer, every sigh you released in the stillness of night has risen to the heavens, and God is not passive. He does not ignore those who cry out to Him with sincerity. He is not unmoved by pain, nor deaf to the groans of a heart weighed down. He answers, but not always in the way you imagine. Sometimes His answer is not relief, but revelation. Sometimes He doesn't remove the storm, He strengthens you to walk through it and not break. And when you come through it, because you will, you'll find that God was not far off, but closer than ever. Stop measuring your future by your failures. Stop looking at your reflection through the mirror of disappointment. You are not what happened to you. You are not what you lost. You are not defined by the doors that closed, the friends who left, or the dreams that didn't come to pass. You are who God says you are chosen, equipped, prepared, covered. And when God decides to bless you, no betrayal can block it. No delay can deny it. No voice can cancel it. When He declares it, it is done. Some of the greatest breakthroughs are disguised as breakdowns. Some of the greatest blessings come through battles. Some of the most powerful transformations begin with what feels like total destruction. Why? Because God sometimes has to tear down what was built without Him in order to raise up something that will glorify only Him. And when God builds, He builds with eternal purpose. What He builds lasts. What He touches transforms. What He blesses multiplies. So if it feels like your life is in pieces, don't despair. God is still the potter. And the potter does not throw away the clay. He does not discard what's been marred. He reshapes, He reworks, He remards, and when He's done, it will be more beautiful, more meaningful, more enduring than you ever imagined. But you must trust the process. You must submit to His timing. You must let Him be God, not just in theory, not just in worship, but in reality, in your decisions, in your emotions, in your plans, in your pain. Stop rehearsing the worst-case scenarios. Stop reliving the disappointments. Stop magnifying the obstacle. Begin to magnify God. Speak His power aloud. Declare His ability even before you see the evidence. That's faith. Not denying reality, but choosing to believe in a higher reality, that above the facts stands truth. And truth is, God reigns above the diagnosis, above the debt, above the betrayal, above the fear. God is greater. And when the time comes, God will lift you, not by force, not by manipulation, but by divine appointment. When He exalts, no one can demote. When He promotes, no one can block it. Your name will be remembered not because of your connections, but because of His covenant. You will walk through doors you didn't knock on. You will receive answers you didn't even know how to pray for. You will be surrounded by peace that makes no logical sense. That's what happens when God handles your impossible situation. And make no mistake, what feels impossible to you is elementary to God. What overwhelms you is small in His hand. You are not alone in this. You are not forgotten. Your weakness does not disqualify you. It invites His strength. Your questions do not offend Him. They draw you closer to the truth. And your faith, no matter how small, moves the heavens when it is placed in God alone. So walk forward with courage, not because the way is easy, but because God is faithful. Face the uncertainty, not with fear, but with firm belief that the one who holds the universe also holds your hand. Let your life become a living testimony that yes, it got hard. Yes, you almost gave up, but God stepped in. He made a way. He lifted the burden. He silenced the storm. He turned the impossible into the undeniable. And one day you will tell your story, not with sorrow, but with strength. Not with shame, but with glory. Because you will know deep in your spirit, it wasn't luck. It wasn't timing. It wasn't coincidence. It was God. Only God. Always God. Forever God. There comes a point in every soul's journey where words fail, strength fades, and reason breaks down under the weight of life's unanswered questions. But that is not where the story ends. That is where God begins. When the voices around you fall silent, and the plans you carefully built fall apart like dry clay, God speaks into the wreckage and says, "Be still, I am here." That stillness is not weakness. That silence is not absence. That pause is not punishment. It is the sacred space where God breathes hope back into your dry bones. Every trial you've endured, every tear you've shed, every burden you've carried has been seen and measured by the hand of God. Nothing escapes His vision. Nothing overwhelms His wisdom. And no battle is too great for His intervention. You may have been pressed on every side, but you were not crushed. You may have been confused, but you were not abandoned. Because the one who formed you in secret has also appointed your victory in public. And when God declares it, no force on this earth can delay it. Let your heart rise with confidence today, not because the struggle is over, but because the struggle has a purpose, and the purpose is greater than your pain. It is rooted in God's eternal plan, a plan that does not bend to man's timeline or bow to your fears. You may not understand the current chapter, but God is the author, and He writes with destiny in mind. What appears broken now is part of a much bigger design that ends, not in defeat, but in divine fulfillment. And yes, the nights may still be long, the waiting may still stretch your endurance. The answers may not come wrapped in the way you hoped. But understand this, God does not forget what He has promised. He does not grow weary. He does not second-guess His decisions. When He places His hand upon a situation, it is marked for transformation. And that impossible circumstance in your life is not a curse. It is the canvas where God is painting His power in bold, undeniable strokes. Do not confuse the silence of God with the absence of action. Often the greatest miracles are prepared in the unseen, in the quiet chambers of divine timing. God is moving where you cannot see. He is removing what you didn't know was hindering you. He is arranging people, places, and circumstances to align with His decree. And when the appointed hour comes, you will see what patience, faith, and obedience can birth. You will look back and realize that even your darkest days we're held tightly in the grip of God's mercy. And for those who feel like they've missed it, that they've made too many mistakes, taken too many wrong turns, failed too many times, I speak this truth over you. God's mercy has no expiration date. His plan is not canceled because of your weakness. His power is not diminished by your delays. He does not give up on those He created. He waits. He calls. He restores. And when you return to Him, not with perfect answers, but with an open heart, He lifts you with grace that cannot be explained by human reason. You are not too far gone. You are not too broken. You are not too late. You are right where you need to be to experience the mighty hand of God in your life. And if He allowed this trial, it is because He intends to use it. Nothing in God's hands is wasted. Not your pain, not your waiting, not even your silence. All of it becomes part of the testimony that will one day flow from your life like a river of living proof that God is faithful. So lift your eyes, straighten your back, steady your heart. What you are walking through may feel like fire, but it is not to destroy you. It is to refine you. And when you come out on the other side, you will not smell like the smoke. You will shine like gold. Not because of your own power, but because of the one who carried you through the fire. Release the need to control what only God has the authority to command. Place your anxiety at the feet of the one who rules over seasons. Surrender your fears to the keeper of time, the one who moves hearts and opens doors. You will never overcome the battle by trying to bear it all by yourself. But the moment you place it in God's hands, the impossible becomes a platform for His glory. And sooner than you realize, you will look back on this very season with tears in your eyes. Not tears of pain, but tears of gratitude. You will say, "That was the moment I discovered what it truly means to trust God. That was the hour your spirit stopped trembling. That was the chapter where faith became more than language. It became the force that carried you through what seemed impossible." So right here and right now, with the noise of the world fighting for your attention, with fear pressing hard against your heart, with uncertainty trying to tighten its grip, choose faith. Not the kind of faith that waits for proof to appear, but the kind that believes God is already at work, already moving, already preparing a way. And as you keep walking forward, not in fear, but in courage, remind your soul every single day, God will take care of it. God is taking care of it. God has already gone ahead of it. From the beginning to the end, from the struggle to the answer, from the pain to the peace, God remains in control. And that, my friend, is more than enough. My friend, have you ever found yourself walking a path without knowing where it would end, and yet something deep within kept whispering, "Keep moving"? Have you ever sat in the quiet of the night, wrestling with uncertainty, while a fire inside you still declared that you are not lost? That, dear listener, is not imagination. It is not coincidence. It is not a passing feeling. That is God speaking straight to your spirit. And when God speaks, the ground beneath you begins to shift. When God speaks, He confirms, He strengthens, He makes things firm. I am telling you, there are seasons in life when the voices of people will fail you completely. But the voice of God will roll through the silence of your soul like thunder. If you listen carefully, you will begin to recognize the signs that you are walking the path He has prepared for you. This message is for those who are weary of living by what they can see, This message is for those who have felt rejection, carried confusion, and endured the heavy burden of waiting. And still in the middle of all that, you have not turned back. You have not settled. You have not quit, because something beyond explanation keeps drawing you forward. That is the hand of God leading you, confirming you, and showing you that you are moving in the direction He appointed for your life. And let me say this clearly. When you are walking in the will of God, the road will not always feel easy. There will be thorns, there will be storms, there will be valleys filled with darkness. But do not let the trouble deceive you. Do not misunderstand the warfare. Sometimes the clearest sign that you are on the right path is not comfort, but pressure. Not applause, but adversity. The world may try to persuade you that struggle means you have gone the wrong way, but that is a lie from the enemy. Sometimes the very battle you are facing is the proof that you are exactly where God wants you to be. Let this settle deep into your spirit. If God assigned the road, then He has already secured the outcome. Even when you cannot see the destination, even when the next steps feel uncertain, your obedience is the evidence that you are aligned with His will. You do not need everyone to understand your journey. You do not need every door to open. You need one thing above all else: confirmation from God alone. He will give it to you. Not always in loud declarations, but in signs, moments, and spiritual echoes that stir your spirit and anchor your faith. One of the signs that you are on the right path is divine resistance. Yes, I said divine resistance. Sometimes God will close doors, not to punish you, but to protect you. God will block opportunities, not because you're wrong, but because He wants to root you into something greater. Don't curse the closed doors. Don't despise the delay. That is God saving you from what your eyes can't yet see. It's a sign. It's a whisper from the heavens saying, keep going. You're on the right path, but not that route. That's not confusion. That's correction. And correction is a form of divine confirmation. And then there are those moments when the things around you fall apart, but your spirit is at peace. Do you know what I'm talking about? Your finances are strained, relationships are breaking, plans are crumbling, but somehow you have peace. That makes no sense. That is not natural. That is not logical. That is God. God gives peace, not when everything is perfect, but when everything is according to His purpose. Peace in the middle of chaos is one of the most powerful signs that God is walking with you. It's His way of saying, "Fear not, for I am with you." Another undeniable sign is unexpected provision. You see, when you're walking in the path of God, you may not always have abundance, but you will always have enough. It will come from strange places. It will come through people you didn't expect. It will come right when you're about to give up. Manna from heaven, water from the rock, ravens in the wilderness. God has a way of feeding your soul and sustaining your life when you are aligned with His will. You may not see the next step, but suddenly a way opens. Suddenly a need is met. That is not chance. That is not luck. That is God making sure you lack nothing on the road. He called you to walk. And let's talk about confirmation through conviction. When God is leading you, there will be moments when everyone else claps, but your spirit is uneasy. Or moments when no one else sees the value, but you feel an unshakable pull toward it. That's not emotion. That's not pressure. That is God placing a divine burden in your spirit. You feel heavy when you go the wrong way, and light when you move toward His plan. That's conviction. That's a spiritual compass that only the obedient heart can understand. When your conviction aligns with your direction, you are not just moving, you are being moved by God. Now hear this, child of God. People will not always understand your path, because it was never assigned to them. Stop waiting for validation from people who didn't hear what God told you in the secret place. Stop doubting your steps just because they don't match someone else's expectations. If you are being obedient, you are successful. If you are walking in purpose, you are powerful. Obedience is the evidence, purpose is the proof, and peace is the promise. Another mighty sign is the attack of the enemy. Oh yes, when you're on the right path, the enemy will not stay silent. He will stir up lies, he will send distractions, he will try to wear you down with fear, fatigue, and false guilt. But if the enemy is fighting you, it's because he's threatened by what you're carrying. The enemy doesn't chase the lukewarm. He doesn't harass the distracted. He targets the chosen. He targets those who are aligned with God's plan. The more intense the warfare, the more certain you can be that you're walking in the fire of divine assignment. Don't shrink back. Don't curse the battle. Praise through it. Press through it. That battle is your confirmation. And let's not forget about the fruit. God will always back His path with fruit. Not always immediately, but inevitably. You'll start to see results, not just in what you accomplish, but in who you become. The path of God doesn't just change your location, it transforms your character. You become more patient, more focused, more resilient, more surrendered. That internal transformation is one of the strongest signs that you are walking in His will. It's not always about external success. It's about spiritual growth. God is not just taking you to a destination. He's building you into the person who can handle the blessing. When you arrive, there will be divine alignment. People, places, and opportunities will begin to fall into place. Not forced, not manipulated, but divinely orchestrated. You will meet people who carry the next piece to your puzzle. You'll be led to places you didn't plan to go, but somehow everything fits. That is the orchestration of God. That is the fingerprint of the divine. What you couldn't plan, what you couldn't predict, God arranges. That kind of alignment is a supernatural confirmation that you are walking with Him. Let me speak to your weary heart today. Some of you have been asking God for a sign. This is your sign. This very message is your confirmation. You are not off course. You are not being punished. You are not forsaken. You are walking exactly where God wants you to walk. The silence does not mean absence. The delay does not mean denial. You are not alone. Even if the road feels lonely, God is with you. God is in you. God is for you. Keep walking, keep trusting, keep obeying. Even if no one sees it, God sees it. Even if no one claps, God approves. And when God approves, no man can cancel your calling. When God opens the door, no man can shut it. When God speaks over your life, no demon in hell can undo it. You are walking in destiny. You are standing in purpose. You are covered by the hand of the Almighty. Sometimes the right path feels like the wrong one because the right path leads through crucibles, deserts, and trials before it leads to glory. But don't mistake discomfort for disapproval. Don't misread pain as punishment. Pain is sometimes the price of progress. The fire you feel is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to refine you. God does not waste fire. He uses it to burn away fear, to remove distraction, to expose impurity, to prepare you for what's ahead. Don't turn back now. Don't give up now. Don't abandon what you were anointed to finish. The signs are all around you. The peace, the provision, the alignment, the battle, the growth, the conviction, the resistance, all of it is speaking loudly and clearly that God is with you, that you are not lost, that you are not forgotten, you are simply being led. And to be led by God is the greatest honor on earth, even when your emotions fluctuate. Even when your motivation wavers, the truth remains: God does not change. If He called you, He will carry you. If He started it, He will finish it. If He led you here, He will not leave you here. His faithfulness is not based on your feelings, it's based on His unchanging nature. God is not a man that He should lie. If He said it, He will do it. If He promised it, He will fulfill it. Walk with your head high, your spirit steady, and your heart full of faith, because the path you're on, it's not random, it's not accidental, it's not a detour, it's destiny. You are not walking in circles. You are being taken somewhere. Every step, every tear, every sacrifice, it's not wasted. It's building something eternal. It's shaping your story. And one day, you will look back and realize that every twist, every turn, every wilderness was ordered by the hand of God to bring you into the fullness of your calling. Let your heart hear this now. God is not only guiding you, God is preserving you for something greater than what you currently understand. Many times, what feels like a detour is really preparation. You may not have arrived at the promise, but the path is not a mistake. When you surrender your life to the will of God, you are no longer walking by maps created by men. You are being led by the divine mind, the all-knowing, all-powerful one who sees what you cannot see. While you're focused on the next step, God is preparing your destination. While you are surviving this season, God is securing your future. And here's something many overlook. Sometimes God confirms the right path, not by giving you everything, but by removing what no longer fits. There are people you've lost, places you've been pulled from, doors that shut without warning, and at first it hurt. You question, why would this happen now? But in the realm of the divine, subtraction is sometimes the tool of elevation. When God removes something or someone from your life, it's often because it would have hindered where He's taking you. Trust the subtraction. Trust the empty spaces. They're not signs of abandonment, they're signs of alignment. You see, when you're on the path God designed, your life will begin to look strange to others. You'll be called different. You'll be misunderstood. But this is the cost of walking in purpose. You are not called to blend in. You are called to follow the whisper of God over the noise of the world. And that means there will be moments of solitude, moments where your only companion is obedience. But don't fear isolation. God does His deepest work in the silence, the cave, the wilderness, the lonely nights. These are not wasted seasons. They are holy seasons. They are the testing ground of those set apart. And remember this, when God is confirming your path, He will give you supernatural endurance. A strength will rise in you that cannot be explained. While others collapse beneath the pressure, you will still remain standing. You may be wounded, yet you will keep believing. You may be tired, yet your faith will continue to burn like fire. That strength is not coming from your own ability. It is coming from God. He equips those who walk in His will. He empowers those who say yes to His direction. So if you are still standing after all you have faced, let that be your confirmation. God is with you. There is a deep mystery in the way God works. He does not always reveal the whole picture, but He gives you enough to keep moving forward. A glimpse, a word, a sign, a moment of clarity. That is enough. The rest is trust. That is the way God works. He is not shaping your comfort. He is shaping your faith. He wants you to trust His heart, even when you cannot trace His hand. And there is something powerful about a soul that fully surrenders and says, even when I do not understand, I will still walk where you lead. That kind of surrender moves heaven. That kind of obedience releases blessings the world could never contain. Another sign that you are on the right path is when your inner life begins to change, when your desires begin to shift, when your hunger for shallow things starts to disappear, when you stop longing for the attention of people and begin longing for the approval of God. That is not a small thing. That is divine transformation. That is the hand of God molding you from the inside out. Don't ignore that. Don't dismiss that. It means He is realigning your soul to match your assignment. That's not just growth. That's divine preparation. And listen to this. Sometimes confirmation comes through opposition, not just from strangers, but from those closest to you. When God gives you a vision, not everyone will see it. Not everyone will support it. Some will doubt it. Some will mock it. Some will try to talk you out of it. But do not be discouraged. Their lack of belief is not your defeat. God does not require their agreement to fulfill His purpose in your life. When you are on the right path, rejection becomes redirection, criticism becomes fuel, and loneliness becomes a sacred place where you discover that God is enough. Do not fear what you don't understand. The unknown is not your enemy when God is your guide. Faith is not about having all the answers. It's about trusting God when the answers don't come. If He told you to go, then go. If He told you to leave, then leave. If He told you to build, then build. Don't delay your obedience trying to make others comfortable. Don't wait for perfect conditions to do what God already confirmed in your spirit. The wind may not be favorable. The sky may not be clear, but when God says move, it's time to move. And when you do, watch how God begins to make a way through what seemed impossible. Watch how the obstacles begin to bow to divine timing. Watch how the mountain begins to tremble at the sound of your footsteps. Because when you walk with God, you walk with authority. The kind of authority that doesn't need to shout to be heard. The kind that causes things to shift just by your presence. Why? Because you carry the mark of divine direction. You're not wandering, you're walking with purpose. Let me say this clearly. God is not playing games with your life. He is not experimenting with your destiny. He is intentional, precise, faithful. Everything you faced, every delay, every detour, has been part of a plan that is higher than your thoughts and deeper than your understanding. The disappointments did not disqualify you. The failures did not erase your calling. If you are still breathing, it means God is still working. Your path is not over. In fact, the most important chapters are still being written. And when doubt creeps in, because it will, when your emotions scream louder than your faith, go back to the last thing God told you. Go back to that moment when you knew it was Him. Go back to that word, that prayer, that nudge in your spirit. That is your anchor. The winds will come, the waves will rise, but if your anchor is in what God said, you will not drift. Don't let impatience become your downfall. So many abort the journey because the promise takes time. But God is never late. He's not in a rush like man. He's building something that will last. He's laying a foundation so deep, so strong, that when the blessing comes, it won't break you. He doesn't just want to give you the blessing, He wants to make sure you can carry it. That's why the process feels heavy. That's why the path feels long. But when it's finally time, what took years to build will be fulfilled in a moment. Let your soul take hold of this. When you are walking in alignment with God, you are dangerous to the darkness. You are a threat to the systems of this world. You are a vessel of purpose and power, so of course the resistance is fierce. Of course the enemy wants you to quit, but stand firm. This isn't the time to retreat. It's the time to roar in faith. Let the fire inside of you burn brighter than the fear around you. The right path is not always the popular one, but it is the powerful one. It may be narrow, it may be lonely, it may be misunderstood, but it is filled with divine encounters, supernatural breakthroughs, and eternal purpose. You are not walking just for yourself. You are walking for generations to come. Your obedience will ripple through time. Your steps will make a way for others. And one day someone will rise because you didn't quit. Because you believed God when no one else did. And now I tell you this, if your path was chosen by God, then your steps are sacred. Let no man belittle the journey you are on. Let no circumstance cause you to doubt the road beneath your feet. Every step you take in obedience to God is a declaration of war against fear, a holy march toward purpose. There is no higher calling than to follow the whisper of God with unwavering trust. And there is no greater strength than to walk forward when the world says turn back. The road may be rugged, but the hand that leads you is mighty. The night may be long, but the one who watches over you does not sleep. You may feel unnoticed, but God sees every sacrifice. You may feel unheard, but God hears every whisper of your soul. The world rewards what it sees, but God rewards what is done in secret. The tears you've cried in silence, they are counted. The hours spent in prayer when no one was watching, they are honored. The times you refused to compromise, even when it cost you something, they are written in eternity. You are not forgotten. You are not unseen. You are favored not because of who you are, but because of who you trust. When God puts His seal upon a life, no rejection can remove it. No opinion can undo it. No failure can revoke it. The plan of God is not fragile. It does not crumble when you stumble. It does not break when you bend under pressure. The purpose of God was spoken before the foundation of the world. You were not born to simply exist. You were born to fulfill something eternal. And that purpose, that holy assignment, is what makes your path unique. Don't compare it to others. Don't measure it by timelines or milestones. God is not working on your schedule. He is working on your soul. And as He works, you will see new things that only those who walk with God can recognize. There will be moments when everything around you looks ordinary, yet deep within, something extraordinary is happening. You'll wake up with renewed strength for no logical reason. You'll feel prompted to speak words that weren't rehearsed. You'll be led to places you didn't plan to go. These are not coincidences. These are divine orchestrations. God is moving even when it seems like nothing is happening. Sometimes His greatest work is invisible to the human eye, but undeniable to the spiritual heart. Have you ever noticed how peace settles over you in the most unlikely moments? That's a sign. Have you ever walked into a storm and felt stillness in your soul? That's a sign. Have you ever chosen integrity when compromise seemed easier and felt strength rise up in you afterward? That's a sign. These are the invisible fingerprints of God all over your path. They may not be dramatic. They may not come with thunder or lightning, but they are real. They are personal. And they are enough to remind you that you are walking in step with the Almighty. Let me speak to the one who is in a valley today. You don't feel strong. You don't feel chosen. You don't even feel like you're moving. But let me tell you, even crawling in the direction God called you to is still progress. Even standing still in obedience when others rush ahead is still powerful. The valley is not a curse. It is a classroom. It is the place where God breaks you to build you, where He strips away everything you thought you needed to reveal what you truly carry. You are not buried in this season. You are being planted, and in due time you will rise. You will bloom. You will testify, not of your strength, but of His. Another sign that you are on the right path is the development of divine clarity. The more you walk with God, the more the unnecessary noise fades away. You start seeing through distractions. You recognize counterfeit opportunities before they trap you. You begin to feel when something is off, not because of fear, but because your discernment has been sharpened by the one who knows all things. This clarity is a gift. It is proof that your spirit is becoming aligned with the frequency of heaven. You are no longer guided by the flesh. You are moved by something higher, something deeper, something eternal. And when you are truly on the path of God, you will not need to force doors open. Opportunities will begin to recognize you. Resources will begin to chase you. The right people will find you, not because you manipulated the moment, but because God ordained the meeting. There is a rhythm to divine timing. When you walk in it, things begin to flow. Not without effort, but without anxiety. Not without work, but without worry. The oil of grace begins to cover your steps. What once felt impossible now begins to happen. Not because you've become greater, but because you've become more surrendered. And here is a mystery. Sometimes the confirmation that you are on the right path comes when God allows a delay to protect your destiny. He withholds not to hurt you, but to mature you. He closes the door not to deny you, but to prepare the room. Don't resent the pause. Don't despise the wait. The delay is not the absence of progress, it is the multiplication of purpose. What He's building in you is too valuable to be rushed. The longer it takes, the deeper it lasts. Your obedience is not in vain. Your discipline is not forgotten. Your sacrifice will not be overlooked. God is a just rewarder, and He is watching. Every quiet yes, every lonely step, every unseen act of faith, and at the appointed time, His time, He will lift you. He will vindicate you. He will make the crooked places straight, not for your glory, but for His purpose through you. So hold on, not just to the promise, but to the path. The promise without the path is incomplete. The process without God is powerless. But when you walk with God, even your delays are divine. Even your failures are recycled for good. Even your detours lead to destiny. This is not just a journey of success. It's a journey of surrender. And those who surrender to God's way will never be put to shame. If the fire is hotter, it's because the gold inside of you is purer. If the test is greater, it's because the calling is heavier. And if the battle is fiercer, it's because the assignment on your life is undeniable. You were not created to drift. You were designed to dominate in the area God placed you. You are a light in a dark world. You are a carrier of purpose. You are walking proof that God still speaks, still leads, still reveals His path to those who seek Him with their whole heart. Lift your head, shake off the lies of the enemy. Walk with boldness because you are not lost. You are not behind. You are not broken beyond repair. You are right where you need to be, in the hands of the one who never makes a mistake. You are on the path that leads to purpose, and God, the one who called you, will finish what He started in you. Do not turn to the left or the right. Do not seek shortcuts. Do not look for easier roads. Stay where God has placed you. Grow where He planted you. Walk with honor, love with purity, serve with humility, and move with faith. For the path you walk today, though narrow, though rugged, the road to something eternal, it is not only the right path, it is God's path, and that is more than enough. When God sets you on a path, it may not always feel like elevation. It may feel like isolation. It may feel like you've been hidden, tucked away, overlooked by the world. But understand this, what looks like isolation is often divine preservation. God does not expose what He has not yet refined. He hides what He is still shaping. He covers what He is still cultivating. And in the quiet places, in the shadows where no one sees, that is where God does His most powerful work. So if you feel like no one sees your obedience, your faithfulness, your late night tears, know this: God sees, and His seeing is enough. Don't be fooled by the applause of men. The world may celebrate noise, but God honors substance. He is not moved by the spotlight. He is moved by sincerity. The steps you take when no one is clapping matter more than the performance you give when everyone is watching. The right path is often the unpopular path. It's the one where you choose righteousness over recognition, integrity over attention, truth over tradition. That is the path God watches closely. That is the path He blesses. Not always immediately, but undeniably. And you must remember, when you're walking with God, your timing will never match the world's. While others are sprinting, God may ask you to walk. While others are rushing, God may ask you to wait. But the path He designs is not measured by speed, it is measured by alignment. And one moment of divine alignment is worth more than a lifetime of rushed ambition. The world will tell you to hustle, to strive, to chase. But God says, be still and trust. Obedience may seem slow, but it's never behind. It may seem quiet, but it carries the roar of eternity. When you are truly aligned with God, you begin to hear Him even in the silence. You begin to see Him even in the storm. You begin to trust Him even when your plans fall apart. That kind of faith does not come overnight. It is forged in fire, built in the unseen, tested in trials. So do not despise the season of stretching. Do not curse the season of waiting. These are not delays, they are deposits. Deposits of strength, wisdom, character, and unwavering trust. When the blessing comes, it will not shake you, because the foundation is deep. There is a holy confidence that comes when you know you are on God's path. Not arrogance, not pride, but unshakable assurance, because you no longer need validation to move forward. You no longer need agreement to believe. You no longer depend on open doors to prove your worth. You move because God said move. You stand because God said stand, and you wait because God said not yet. That kind of faith is fireproof. That kind of obedience terrifies the enemy, because now you are not driven by results, you are driven by purpose. Let me tell you this, sometimes the enemy won't try to destroy you. He'll try to distract you. He'll place counterfeit paths beside your real one. Paths that promise ease but carry emptiness. Paths that feel good but are built on compromise. Beware of the easy way when it pulls you away from God. The right path is not always comfortable, but it is always consecrated. It is set apart. It is holy. And anything holy requires sacrifice, not to earn favor, but to walk in freedom. When you deny what is temporary to pursue what is eternal, you are declaring with every step, I trust God more than I trust myself. You may have people question your direction. They may say, you're wasting your time. You're dreaming too big. You're being unrealistic. But what they call unrealistic, God calls preparation. What they call foolish, God calls faith. You don't need them to understand it, because they didn't receive the vision. God did not whisper your purpose in their ear. He planted it in your spirit. And if He planted it, He will water it. He will protect it. He will cause it to grow. Let the world keep chasing validation. Let others compete for crowns that don't last. But as for you, chase the presence of God. That is the reward. That is the treasure. If God is with you, you are already victorious. If God approves you, no man's disapproval matters. The path you walk may not be filled with praise, but it is filled with presence. And the presence of God is enough. It will keep you. It will correct you. It will cover you. And yes, there will be times when you stumble, times when you question, times when fear creeps in and your steps begin to shake. But even then, if you fall in obedience, God will lift you. If you fail in pursuit of His will, He will restore you. God does not abandon those who seek Him sincerely. He does not reject those who fall while walking toward Him. His mercy is not based on perfection, it's based on pursuit. Keep pursuing, keep knocking, keep asking. Because the path of God is not about reaching a destination. It's about walking daily with the one who knows the way. There will be signs all around you, not loud, not always visible, but spiritual signs. The clarity that comes in prayer, the rest that overtakes you when you choose the hard but holy decision, the calm that follows your obedience even when circumstances scream chaos. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. And if you stay sensitive to the whispers of God, you will not be deceived. You will be led moment by moment, step by step. The path you're walking may seem narrow now, but it leads to wide places. It may be hidden now, but it leads to a city set on a hill. It may be painful now, but it leads to peace that passes all understanding. God is not just leading you forward, He is drawing you deeper, deeper into trust, deeper into surrender, deeper into the reality that His ways are higher than yours, His thoughts greater, His plans wiser. You don't need to chase after what God already reserved for you. What is yours by divine assignment cannot be stolen, delayed, or denied. Yet if you remain on the path, even if others seem to pass you, even if their doors open faster, don't look to the left or to the right. Stay focused, stay humble, stay obedient. Because the right path is not proven by speed, but by sustainability. God does not give what will destroy you, He gives what will complete you. And His gifts are not given in your time. They are given in His perfect time. So walk on, walk with boldness, with brokenness if you must, but walk. Walk through the uncertainty, walk through the silence, walk through the rejection, walk even when no one is cheering, because God is watching, God is leading, and God is faithful. The path you are on, it may be costly, but it is covered. It may be narrow, but it is noble. It may be hard, but it is holy. There comes a point in every journey where you can no longer rely on the strength of your legs, but only on the conviction in your heart. That conviction is not born from comfort. It is forged in the secret place where your soul wrestles with fear and doubt, but refuses to surrender. It is there, in that holy tension between what is seen and what is promised, that God confirms who you truly are. You were not meant to walk a path of ease. You were meant to walk a path of purpose. And purpose demands perseverance. Purpose demands faith when facts scream otherwise. And when you stay faithful despite uncertainty, God marks that step as sacred. This is not the path of the masses. This is not the way of shallow waters. This is the deep calling under deep. This is the voice of God saying, "Come higher, walk further, trust deeper." And every time you say yes to God, every time you deny your fear and obey His instruction, you are climbing toward a destiny that was written for you before the earth even knew your name. It is not pride to believe that you were made for something greater. It is faith. And it is faith that pleases God. When you walk in true obedience to God, you will begin to notice that the things that once satisfied you no longer hold power. The opinions of people lose weight. The distractions of the world lose their pull. You stop chasing the illusion of perfection and begin to walk in divine purpose. And that transformation itself is a sign you are no longer being led by the flesh, but by the Spirit of the Almighty. You are no longer driven by impulse, but by instruction. That is not weakness, that is alignment. That is evidence that God is shaping you not just for blessings, but for responsibility. The path of God matures you. It builds in you the kind of endurance that can't be taught by comfort. You don't just learn how to wait, you learn how to wait well. You don't just learn how to pray, you learn how to persevere when the answer is delayed. And it's in that stretching that your capacity increases. You become strong not because you fought every battle with your own hands, but because you let God fight for you. You let Him lead even when the road made no sense. And that surrender is not weakness, it is power under authority. There will be times where the right path feels wrong simply because it doesn't match your expectations. But God is not obligated to explain His plan before He performs it. He is not bound by your timeline, your strategy, or your logic. What seems delayed is often deliberate. What looks like a loss is often a lesson. If you stay too focused on what you thought it should look like, you'll miss what God is trying to do right now. Be open, be flexible, let go of the plan, and hold on to the promise. You see, when God is leading you, you don't need to rush. You don't need to compete. You don't need to manipulate. You rest in the knowing that what is for you is already written. You move with intentionality, not with anxiety. You speak with wisdom, not with fear. You decide not based on pressure, but based on peace. And that peace is not a passive feeling. It is a divine signal. When your spirit is still, even when the storm rages, it is God saying, "This is the way. Walk in it." And yes, there will be giants on the right path. There will be walls too high to climb, rivers too wide to cross, enemies too loud to ignore. But those are not signs to turn back. They are signs that you are close. The presence of resistance is often the clearest indication that you're entering territory meant to be taken. And the God who led you to it will not leave you stranded. He will provide, He will shield, He will strengthen. But you must not shrink, you must not look back, you must not give in to fear when you were called to walk in faith. Let me tell you this plainly. The presence of pain does not mean the absence of God. Don't let your emotions become louder than your discernment. Feelings are real, but they are not always accurate. That's why you must learn to lead your soul with truth, not follow your soul with confusion. And truth is this: if God put breath in your lungs today, then your purpose is still alive. If He allowed you to wake up this morning, then the journey is not over. Don't let discouragement be your counselor. Let faith be your guide. Let obedience be your answer. When you are walking in God's will, even your weaknesses become weapons. Even your scars become stories. Even your past becomes part of the plan. Nothing is wasted when you are surrendered. Every delay, every heartbreak, every disappointment, it all becomes fuel in the hands of the Almighty. And one day you will testify, not just with your words, but with your life, that the path God chose was not only right, it was holy, it was necessary, it was divinely appointed for your transformation. You must understand, child of faith, that the right path is not just about reaching the promise, it's about becoming the person who can carry it. God is not just working around you, He is working within you, shaping your motives, cleansing your heart, purifying your desires, teaching you how to walk in power without arrogance, in wisdom without pride, in strength without oppression. That's why the journey is hard, because He's building not just a future for you, but a future through you. You may feel behind. You may feel like others are moving faster, achieving more, shining brighter. But their race is not your race. Their calling is not your calling, and their path is not your path. Stay in your lane. Run with endurance. Keep your eyes on God, not on man, because if you chase the applause of people, you'll miss the approval of heaven. But if you chase the approval of God, everything else will align in its time. And when the day comes that everything you prayed for arrives, when the vision becomes reality, when the mountain moves, when the door opens, don't forget the path. Don't forget the nights you cried, the mornings you questioned, the battles you survived. Don't forget how God carried you when you couldn't walk. Those moments are your memorial. They are your anchor. They are the evidence that your life is not your own. It is the work of God's hands. So walk boldly, speak fearlessly, love deeply, obey quickly. The path you are on is not ordinary, it is sacred. Every step, every tear, every test, it all matters. You are not here by accident. You are not following a fantasy. You are following a fire that cannot be quenched, a call that cannot be silenced, a purpose that cannot be stolen. You are on the right path, not because it feels easy, but because it has been ordained by God. And God, who sees the end from the very beginning, is leading you with a love that never fails. So take this truth and bury it deep within your heart. God does not make mistakes. If He has called you, He will also equip you. If He has led you, He will also sustain you. And if you are walking the path He has placed before you, then you are exactly where you are meant to be. Do not let the noise of this world silence the voice of the one who knows you completely. Keep moving forward with conviction. Stand firm in faith. Walk with the confidence that God Almighty, all-wise and all-seeing, is directing every step, even when the road ahead feels uncertain. Let every breath become a declaration of trust. Let every step become evidence of your faith. Let your journey speak more loudly than your doubts. You are not wandering without direction. You are being led by the hand of God. He has never failed, and He will not begin with you now. The road may be narrow, and the climb may be steep, but the destination is divine. Hold tightly to His promises. Do not depend on your own understanding. Acknowledge God in all your ways, and He will continue to direct your path. You are not merely walking, you are stepping into destiny. You are not merely moving, you are being shaped. You are not merely surviving, you are being strengthened for something far greater. And when the day comes that you look back over the road behind you, you will not only see the dust of where you have walked, but the radiant proof that God was with you the entire way. That, my friend, is the sign. More than anything else, it is the proof that you are on the right path. My beloved, hear this with your whole heart, because what I am about to say is not meant only for your ears. It is meant for your spirit, for your heart, and for the deepest part of your soul. There are seasons in life when God is trying to open your eyes, not to wound you, not to fill you with bitterness, but to awaken you from the deception of false closeness, from the illusion of loyalty, from the bondage of emotional attachment to people who do not value you and who do not honor the divine presence resting on your life. You must understand that not every smile is genuine, not every embrace is pure, and not every friend is faithful. There are people around you who do not truly care for you, and God wants you to recognize them for who they are before they damage the purity of your spirit. God never called you to live blind to truth. He called you to walk in the light. Yet some of you are walking beside people who keep pulling you into darkness, people who drain you, use you, and only appear when they need something from you. And you, dear listener, keep excusing the way they treat you. You keep hoping they will become different. You keep persuading yourself that they love you. But the truth is, they do not care for you. And deep inside, you already know it. God has whispered it to your heart in lonely moments, in late-night tears, in betrayals that cut through you like a blade, and still you remain. Now receive this with conviction. When someone does not truly care for you, God will allow their actions to reveal more than their words ever could. God will uncover what was hidden. You do not need to chase people who choose to leave. You do not need to beg for attention, for respect, or for love. The God who formed you in the womb did not create you to be walked over. He called you to stand strong, to carry dignity, and to live free from the chains of false relationships. The first sign of someone who does not care for you is indifference. Your pain does not move them. You can be breaking inside, and they will pass by your tears as though they mean nothing. They do not ask how you are. They do not check on you unless they want something in return. And when you try to open your heart, they grow irritated. They shift the conversation. They make you feel like your pain is a burden. That is not love. That is not loyalty. That is not God's desire for your life. The second behavior is disrespect. People who don't care about you will mock your beliefs. They'll downplay your victories. They'll highlight your flaws. They will treat you like you're replaceable, disposable, insignificant. And God did not put His breath in your body so you could live at the mercy of human approval. You are precious in the eyes of God. And when someone disrespects what God has created, they are not just offending you, they are dishonoring the Creator Himself. The third trait is disloyalty. They talk behind your back. They smile in your face, but they poison your name when you're not in the room. God sees that. God hears what they say in secret. And let me tell you, no weapon formed against a child of God shall prosper. But you must stop giving your loyalty to those who would betray you for the smallest gain. When God exposes disloyalty, He's not being cruel. He's protecting you from destruction. The fourth is manipulation. People who don't care about you will twist your emotions. They'll gaslight you into thinking you're the problem. They'll guilt trip you into silence. They'll use your kindness as a weapon against you. And before you know it, you're shrinking. You're walking on eggshells. You're afraid to speak your truth. But God does not dwell in fear. God dwells in truth. And where God is, there is peace. Not confusion, not anxiety, not emotional torment. The fifth sign is inconsistency. They're hot and cold, in and out, here today and gone tomorrow. They give you just enough to keep you hoping, but never enough to make you feel secure. That's not love, that's control. And God does not bless confusion. When someone truly cares, their presence is consistent. Their words align with their actions, and they show up not only in your sunshine, but in your storms. The sixth behavior is selfishness. Every conversation is about them. Every situation must revolve around their wants, their needs, their plans, and you are just an accessory to their ego. But hear me now. God did not create you to orbit around anyone else's world. God made you in His image. That means you have value, purpose, and a voice that deserves to be heard. Do not stay where your presence is tolerated, but your absence is celebrated. The seventh is envy. People who don't care about you secretly hate to see you bless. They smile when you struggle, and they stay silent when you succeed. And God will show you their hearts through their reactions, through their silence, through their subtle jabs. Don't ignore it. When someone cannot celebrate what God is doing in your life, it's because they never wanted you to rise. And anyone who is threatened by your elevation cannot walk with you into your destiny. The eighth and final sign is neglect. They don't pray for you. They don't defend you. They don't invest in your growth. They vanish when life gets hard. And God says enough. Enough of begging. Enough of chasing. Enough of tying your worth to people who wouldn't even lift a finger for you. When someone consistently neglects your heart, your soul, your value, they have forfeited the right to walk with you. You've cried enough tears for people who never shed one for you. You've lost sleep over people who rest easy after breaking your heart. You've given your best to people who only gave you crumbs, but God is saying it ends now. This is the season where you reclaim your dignity, where you let go of what is not aligned with your purpose, where you stop asking for love from people who don't even love themselves. And hear me, when you release what doesn't care about you, God will make room for what does. God will send people who honor your presence, who cover you in prayer, who lift you up instead of tearing you down. You don't need a crowd. You just need the ones who are sent by God. And you will know them not by their words, but by their fruit. Because when someone is sent by God, they reflect God's love, God's patience, God's truth, and God's peace. You've been fighting battles you were never meant to fight, all because you're trying to hold on to people God told you to let go of. You're exhausted, not because of your calling, but because of your attachments. You are tired because you are dragging dead weight. People who have no intention of growing, of loving, of being accountable, let it go. Let them go. If someone can walk away, let them walk. Because if they were truly assigned by God, they could not leave. God is not a God of confusion. God does not send people into your life to break you, to belittle you, to ignore you. When people show you who they are, believe them. When their actions scream louder than their apologies, believe what you see. Stop romanticizing their potential. Stop waiting for them to become who you need. They are showing you now. And God is saying, watch. Watch who never claps for you. Watch who disappears when you struggle. Watch who only loves you when it's easy. You cannot fulfill your purpose while being tied to poison. You cannot carry the oil of God while surrounded by those who secretly resent your anointing. You cannot rise while you're tethered to those who pull you down. And that's why this word is urgent, because someone listening right now is wasting their life trying to make people care who simply don't. And God is calling you out of that prison. God is calling you to freedom, to truth, to healing. You are not weak for walking away. You are not mean for setting boundaries. You are not selfish for protecting your peace. That's wisdom. That's obedience. That's walking in the Spirit. And when you do that, God begins to move. God begins to heal the wounds they left. God begins to open doors no man can shut. Because the moment you stop crying over who left, you make room for who's coming. You are not alone. God is with you. Even when people abandon you, God remains. Even when the crowd turns their back, God turns His face toward you. Even when you feel unloved, God surrounds you with mercy. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not too broken to be restored. But you must stop feeding the weeds and start watering the flowers God has planted. There is power in walking away from what wounds you. There is strength in releasing who does not value you. There is peace in knowing that God sees, God knows, and God will reward. So don't waste another day trying to win the approval of the wrong people. Don't sacrifice your joy for the sake of keeping people comfortable. God didn't call you to be liked. God called you to be set apart. And when you choose obedience over people-pleasing, when you walk in the truth no matter how lonely it feels, when you stand firm even when others walk away, that's when God shows up. That's when God fights for you. That's when God vindicates you. Because no eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no mind has imagined what God has prepared for those who trust Him over man. My dear soul, hear this with spiritual clarity. When you finally open your eyes to the behaviors of those who do not care about you, you are not stepping into bitterness. You are stepping into wisdom. God is not calling you to harden your heart, but to guard it. God is not asking you to stop loving people, but to stop giving your love to those who trample it. There is a holy difference. There's a sacred balance. And those who walk closely with God must learn to discern not just what is good, but what is aligned with God's will. Some of you are being drained not because of your responsibilities, but because of your relationships. And let me speak this into your spirit. Any connection that costs you your peace, your clarity, your faith is too expensive. You cannot afford to walk with those who strip you of your inner strength, who make you second-guess your worth, who silence the voice God placed within you. God has already declared you worthy, chosen, loved, and set apart. When others treat you like an option, God is reminding you that you are not just someone. And they are mistreating what God has ordained. You must understand this. Not everyone who walks with you is walking for you. Some walk beside you only for access. Some walk with you only for the benefits of your kindness. And when the benefits stop, so does their loyalty. And when their true face is revealed, you cry, not because of what they did, but because of what you believed about them. But even in that, God is merciful. God allows disappointments to become divine redirection. What feels like betrayal is often just God's hand removing you from danger you could not see. Let me speak a deeper truth to you now. When you are walking in obedience to God, you will lose people, not because you are unkind, but because your spirit irritates those who are comfortable in their dysfunction. Your growth exposes their complacency. Your peace threatens their chaos. And your light makes them confront their own shadows. And so they retreat, they attack, they belittle. But do not be shaken. For every person who walks away, God is drawing you closer to purpose. God never designed you to chase those who walk away. When people leave, let them. The same God who watches the sparrow fly is watching you mourn what He already removed. Stop picking up what God has told you to release. Stop planting seeds in soil that is proven barren. God is not just the giver of good things, He is also the remover of harmful things. When someone exits your life, do not only ask why, ask what God is making room for. Every ending carries the seed of a greater beginning. There is a powerful deception the enemy uses. He convinces you to lower your standards in the name of love. He tells you to tolerate neglect, to excuse disrespect, to absorb constant pain, all in the name of keeping the peace. But peace without dignity is not peace. It is imprisonment. God is not the author of such confusion. God calls you to love, yes, but never at the expense of your own soul. You are called to compassion, not to self-destruction. You are called to patience, not to passive suffering. And let me say this boldly. Your kindness is not a weakness. Your loyalty is not a flaw. But giving it to the wrong people turns your strength into sorrow. That's why God urges you to walk with wisdom. Love must be intentional. Mercy must be guided. Forgiveness does not mean allowing someone to keep access to the sacred parts of you while they continue to defile them. God wants you healed, not just hospitable. You can love from a distance. You can release and still wish them well. That is strength. That is obedience. Some of you are clinging to relationships that God is actively trying to end. You cry out for peace, yet hold on to chaos. You ask God for clarity, but keep inviting confusion to your table. Let me speak into your life. Not everyone deserves a seat in your sacred space. Your heart is not a revolving door. Your presence is not common, and God is calling you to protect what He has placed within you. That means some invitations will need to be revoked. Some access must be denied. And I know it hurts. It hurts to outgrow people you once called family. It hurts to release those you prayed for, fought for, sacrificed for. But remember this: the same God who allowed them in for a season is the same God removing them for your protection. God sees what you cannot. God hears the words you don't. And God knows the weight of unseen betrayal. So when God closes the door, don't force it back open. Let Him be your guide, your filter, your protector. You are not being abandoned, you are being aligned. You are not being punished, you are being preserved. God is not taking from you, He is making space for what is worthy of your purpose. You cannot carry dead relationships into divine places. You cannot drag yesterday's poison into tomorrow's blessing. The price is too high, and the calling on your life is too great. Let them go. Let God do what only God can do: heal you, elevate you, and surround you with people who reflect His love. Now, hear me with unwavering certainty. God never intended for you to walk alone, but before He sends the right people, He must first remove the wrong ones. Before He pours fresh oil, He must first clean the vessel. Before He surrounds you with those who pour into you, He must first show you who only came to drain. You have to go through the pruning. You have to walk through the fire, but it is not to destroy you. It is to refine you. There is a new season on the horizon, a season where you no longer cry over who doesn't care, a season where you rise with clarity, walk with purpose, and speak with boldness, a season where you no longer question your worth based on the treatment of others, because you know who you are, not through their words, but through God's truth. You are chosen, you are called, you are protected, you are enough. You are not what they said, you are what God declared. So I speak this into your soul from this day forward. No more tolerating what wounds you. No more calling dysfunction loyalty. No more seeking validation from the blind. You are free. You are whole. You are walking into a season where God will surround you with those who see your worth, value your presence, and reflect His peace. And you will know them not by their charm, but by the peace of God that follows them. Keep walking in truth, even if it means walking alone for a while. Keep choosing peace over popularity. Keep trusting God even when you don't understand the why. Because the same God who allowed you to see their true colors is the same God who is painting your future with promises. Let the pain of the past become the strength of your spirit. Let the rejection become redirection. Let the heartbreak become healing. For what lies ahead is greater than what lies behind. You are not too late. You are not forgotten. God is just preparing the foundation for something greater. And all those who walked away, they were never the builders. They were only passing shadows. But God is the architect. And when He builds your future, it will not be shaken. When He establishes your peace, it will not be disturbed. And when He brings people into your life, you won't have to question their love. Because real love, God-sent love, will not confuse you. It will cover you. It will strengthen you. It will glorify the God who brought it into your life. There is a moment in every soul's journey when the fog must clear, when the veil must lift, when the heart must stop lying to itself. And in that sacred moment, God demands honesty, not just with the world, but within. Because you cannot walk in divine truth while clinging to human deception. You cannot claim to be seeking God's will while holding tightly to what God has already exposed as a hindrance. And hear me now, this message is not for the faint-hearted. It is for those who are ready to stop entertaining what is draining, to stop making space for what is sent to distract, and to stop calling what is dysfunctional normal. Too many live bound because they are too afraid to confront the truth, that some people were never meant to go where God is taking you. And that's the spiritual war you must win, not before those who stand against you, but within the inner courtroom of your own soul. God will not force you into peace while you continue making room for chaos. God will not lead you into your next season while your heart is still clinging to what belonged to the last one. This is a summons to spiritual maturity, a summons to break old cycles, a summons to see with clarity, and a summons to stop placing the keys of your soul into the hands of those who do not honor its doors. When someone does not truly care for you, their spirit reveals it long before their words ever do. And too often, we wait for the confession when God has already shown us the proof. You are not blind. You are simply afraid to accept what you already see. But the moment has come to stop living in denial, because denial comes at a high cost. It will keep you bound to old wounds. It will keep you admiring potential instead of accepting truth. And God does not build your life on fantasy. God is truth. And when truth steps in, everything false must fall. Do not confuse shared history with divine destiny. Just because someone has always been there does not mean they are meant to remain. God does not preserve relationships based on time alone. God preserves them based on alignment. And when a person's spirit no longer aligns with where God is leading you, separation becomes sacred. Releasing becomes obedience. Letting go becomes an act of praise. And in that release, you are saying to God, I trust you more than I trust my own desires. We must understand that the walk with God is a walk of constant shedding. Shedding illusions, shedding attachments, shedding false peace. Because the more you walk in truth, the more uncomfortable you become with anything that disrupts the stillness God places in your soul. And people who don't care about you, they always disrupt that stillness with their indifference, their disrespect, their inconsistency. They carry a spirit of instability. And God is not the author of instability. Let me say this with unshakable clarity. Being kind does not mean being silent in the face of dishonor. Being faithful to God does not mean tolerating dishonesty. You can forgive and still walk away. You can wish them well and still choose peace. That's not cruelty, that's clarity. And clarity is the gift God gives when you stop negotiating with your worth. Clarity is the power to see people not through the eyes of pain or hope or nostalgia, but through the eyes of truth. And when God gives you that sight, everything changes. This is your divine wake-up call. Some of you have been making excuses for behaviors that God has been trying to remove. You've been praying for peace, but entertaining people who thrive in dysfunction. You've been asking for clarity while drowning in mixed signals and broken boundaries. And God is saying, enough. Enough of playing small to keep others comfortable. Enough of compromising your purpose for company. Enough of settling for presence without investment. You must understand, God will never ask you to keep watering what He is trying to uproot. And sometimes the greatest act of faith is walking away from what you once prayed for because God showed you it was never truly meant for you. You are not failing by letting go. You are not weak for choosing solitude over chaos. You are being prepared. You are being set apart. You are being preserved for what God has ahead. Do not mourn the loss of what God never endorsed. Some people were blessings, others were lessons, but both were part of the plan. And when you truly walk with God, you begin to realize that no one leaves your life without purpose. Some exits are protection, some departures are preparation, some losses are launches. And you will never step into what is next until you stop clinging to what's already expired. And don't mistake God's silence as His absence. Just because He hasn't revealed what's next doesn't mean He isn't working. God is often quiet when He is building. God is often silent when He is shifting. And while you cry over who left, God is preparing who's coming. But you must pass the test of release, the test of trust, the test of walking away without needing closure from the person because you already got confirmation from God. Let me speak to the pain in your chest, the ache in your spirit. It's not the end. It's the breaking before the blessing. It's the cutting before the cultivation. And though it hurts now, what's coming will make sense later. God never removes without replacing. But He doesn't just replace people. He replaces the broken version of you that thought you needed them. And when the healing begins, you'll look back and thank God for every closed door, every betrayal, every exit, because it was in the loss that you found your true self again. People who don't care about you cannot help you grow. They stunt your vision. They drain your fire. They mute your prayers. And their assignment was never to build you, but to test you. And once the test is passed, the season ends. And if you hold on beyond the season, the blessing turns into bondage. You don't need another round of the same heartbreak to believe what God has already shown you. Walk away now so you don't have to crawl out later. God is holy. God is wise. God is just. And He doesn't want His beloved walking around wounded, confused, empty, and begging. You are not a beggar. You are not forgotten. You are not someone who must earn scraps of love. You are already loved by the eternal, already chosen, already seen, already enough. Stop giving the power of God's affirmation to people who can barely affirm themselves. You're not too much. You're not too sensitive. You're not too intense. You are exactly who you are meant to be. And the people who are meant to walk with you, they won't fear your light. They will reflect it. They will honor Him. And they will point you back to the God who placed it in you. You won't have to chase, beg, or explain yourself. Real love, God-ordained love, will recognize the divine within you. This is a sacred turning point. This is the moment you stop trying to fix what was never yours to fix. This is the hour you stop carrying guilt for seeing the truth. And this is the season you return to yourself. Not the broken, fearful, approval-seeking self, but the powerful, God-centered, healed self that knows when to walk away with grace and stand tall in peace. God is not finished with you. This is not your defeat. It's your reset. This is not your failure. It's your preparation. The shaking you feel is the old foundation crumbling, and when God is finished, you will stand on ground so steady you will wonder why you ever tried to build on the sand of people's opinions. And now, beloved soul, let your spirit rise from the place where it was once trampled. Let your mind ascend from the confusion that once held it hostage. Let your heart be revived by the eternal truth that if God has removed it, you never needed it. What you thought was love was a lesson. What you thought was your future was only a temporary chapter. And now God, in divine mercy and unmatched wisdom, is calling you to graduate from the pain, not dwell in it. The classroom of betrayal is not your home. The pit of disappointment is not your destiny. You have lingered long enough in the land of sorrow. Now is the time to step into the land of discernment. When someone shows you that your tears don't move them, your voice doesn't matter to them, and your loyalty is met with silence, do not argue with that reality. Accept it. Let God's revelation replace your fantasy, because the longer you entertain what doesn't serve your spirit, the more you delay what God is preparing for you. Some of you are praying for a harvest, but your hands are full of thorns. God cannot place something sacred into hands that won't let go of what is damaging. You were not created to carry everyone. You were not designed to be the emotional dumpster for people who only show up to dump their pain and disappear when you need a word of hope. There is nothing righteous about overextending yourself to people who never plan to pour back. The energy you give, the prayers you offer, the love you extend, it is not cheap. It is sacred because it flows from the breath that God placed in you. And anything that flows from God must be handled with care. You are not wrong for expecting reciprocity. You are not arrogant for recognizing your value. You are simply walking in awareness. Awareness that your time, your peace, your spirit all belong to God first. And when people mishandle what belongs to God, you must take your hands off the wheel and let God drive the separation. Stop fighting what He is trying to finalize. Stop defending those He is exposing. Stop fixing what He's breaking apart for your salvation. Because not all endings are losses. Some are divine rescues. And every time God removes someone who doesn't care about you, He is clearing space for peace to enter, for clarity to reign, and for strength to rise again. Hear me now. The silence of some people is not just neglect. It is a message. The delay in their response, the absence of their presence, the disinterest in your growth that is not oversight, that is intentional, and your spirit knows it. You feel the imbalance. You sense the one-sidedness. And yet you convince yourself to give it one more try, one more chance, one more day. But that day turns into months, and those months turn into years. And all the while, God has been standing beside you, waiting for you to believe what He's been showing you. God is not emotional confusion. God is not the spirit of guilt. God does not want you enslaved to emotional turmoil masked as friendship. God is truth, and truth liberates. Truth doesn't keep you guessing. Truth doesn't leave you wondering if you matter. When people are sent by God, they reflect the peace of God. They speak life, not drain it. They give joy, not grief. They sharpen your soul, not strip it of its strength. You must understand that the most dangerous people in your life are not always the loudest enemies. They are the silent betrayers. The ones who don't fight you, but also never fight for you. The ones who never slander you, but also never speak up in your defense. The ones who are close enough to know your heart, yet distant enough to watch it break and say nothing. And if you are not careful, you will start believing that this lukewarm loyalty is love. But God's love is not lukewarm. God's love does not leave you anxious. God's love brings peace even in storms. So, child of God, rise from the table where love is no longer served. Stand up from the conversations where your soul has been silenced. Step away from the connections that only take and never give. And when you do, you will feel the breath of God fill your lungs again. You will feel strength return to your bones. You will feel the chains of guilt, shame, and confusion begin to shatter. And what's left will be something holy, something pure, something rooted in truth, not fear. Let me tell you something sacred. When you release what doesn't care for you, God releases what does, but the replacement never comes before the release. There must be a death before resurrection. There must be a closing before the opening. And though it may sting to walk away from what's familiar, it is better to walk with God in uncertainty than to stay with people who make you question your worth. And hear this clearly: God never called you to be anyone's emotional crutch, punching bag, or backup plan. You are not someone's afterthought. You are not a placeholder. You are not a seasonal comfort. You are divinely formed, uniquely chosen, eternally loved. And anyone who fails to see that is simply not aligned with your assignment. Their inability to value you does not reflect your value. It reveals their blindness. So stop mourning over the ones who didn't see you. Stop losing sleep over those who had access to your soul and did nothing but damage it. And stop handing your future to those who were never even grateful for your presence. Let God be your compass again. Let God restore what they tried to drain. Let God take His rightful place in your decisions, in your boundaries, in your circle. And once you do, you will begin to see miracles unfold, because God blesses obedience. God honors clarity. God responds to the soul that finally chooses to walk away from dishonor and into destiny. And when you align with that, you will never beg for what is already yours. Peace, purpose, power, and protection. You are not here by accident. You are not enduring this message just to nod and go back to business as usual. God brought you here to confront, to awaken, to liberate. The pain was not for destruction, it was for redirection. God used the silence to speak louder than words. God used the absence of others to draw you closer to Himself. And now, what will you do with that truth? Will you keep giving away your light to those who only walk with you in shadows? Or will you rise, not with anger, but with authority? Will you continue pretending you're okay being treated as an option? Or will you declare today, enough is enough, and it's time to honor the sacred presence of God within you? Because when you walk in that truth, when you walk in the awareness of who you are and whose you are, everything changes. Doors open, strength returns, peace floods, and people who are meant for you begin to find their way into your life, not by force, but by the flow of divine alignment. Let the ones who never cared fall away like dust in the wind, but let God remain as the anchor of your soul, the fire in your spirit, and the compass for your steps. For what God is doing next in your life requires space, purity, and clarity. It requires you to be unchained from the weight of false attachments. And as you rise, you'll look back, not with bitterness, but with gratitude. Because now you know when someone doesn't care, God does. When someone abandons, God remains. And when someone leaves, it simply means God is about to enter in a greater way. My dear listener, there is a fire burning in the heart of those who finally realize they were never meant to carry the weight of one-sided love. And that fire, it is not anger, it is not bitterness, it is the light of awareness that comes from God. It is the sacred flame of understanding that once you are aligned with God, you no longer tolerate what insults your soul. You begin to see through the fog. You begin to see with the eyes of clarity, not confusion. You begin to hear with the ears of truth, not flattery. And what once held you hostage loses its grip because the voice of God becomes louder than the silence of those who never cared. There is something holy about letting go. Not because you are giving up, but because you are giving God permission to take control. You fought to hold on. You've reasoned. You've justified. You've waited for change. But the change you were praying for in them was always the change God wanted to do in you. You were asking for their hearts to soften, while God was waiting for your spirit to awaken. And now God is stirring something deep within you, an urgency to break the cycle, a courage to close the door, a strength to walk away from what doesn't feed your peace. You must understand this. Not everyone who leaves your life is your enemy. Some are instruments of redirection. Some are lessons wrapped in disappointment. Some are mirrors revealing what you must heal in yourself. And once their role is complete, God removes them. And when God removes, it is always for your elevation. God doesn't remove to hurt you. God removes to protect what He's building in you. You may have thought they were part of your future, but God knew they were only part of your formation. And how can God trust you with divine connections if you continue to make idols of those who hurt you? How can He pour new oil into a vessel that clings to contamination. Your destiny cannot be delayed any longer by your refusal to release. Because if you're still seeking closure from the ones who never gave you commitment, you are tying your spirit to their confusion. And confusion is not from God. God is not the author of deception, of gaslighting, of manipulation. When people use your love as leverage, when they twist your loyalty into weakness, when they disappear in your darkest hour, that is not from God. Let it be clear today, anything that cost you your peace, your purpose, your connection with God is too expensive. Anything that leaves you drained instead of nourished, anxious instead of calm, insecure instead of grounded, is a sign, a warning, a divine signal that this is not the path God has chosen for you. And no matter how much history you have with someone, if their presence now is producing harm, God is asking you to obey. Not your emotions, not your attachments, but His guidance. You see, the people who don't care about you will always play the role of confusion. They'll keep you in cycles of waiting, of guessing, of hoping, and never fulfilling. They know just how much to give to keep you tethered, but never enough to allow you peace. And this is why discernment is vital, because not every connection is from God. Some are tests to see if you truly believe what God already told you. You prayed for peace and God gave you signs. You prayed for direction and God allowed disappointments. You asked for confirmation and God revealed their character. Now the answer is in your hands. And let me say this, you do not owe loyalty to anyone who uses your loyalty against you. You do not owe continued access to anyone who violates your boundaries, ignores your needs, and drains your soul. God has called you to be a good steward, not just of your finances or your time, but of your heart. And some of you are mismanaging your heart by handing it to people who have no capacity to protect it. That is not humility, that is spiritual neglect. There is no honor in constantly giving yourself to people who choose you only when it's convenient. That is not love, that is bondage. And bondage disguised as friendship is one of the enemy's most subtle traps, because it convinces you that your pain is noble, that your silence is strength, that your suffering is love. But the truth is, real love, the kind God blesses and sustains, does not hurt this way. Real connection does not leave you abandoned. Real companionship does not celebrate your failures and envy your growth. God does not desire for you to carry burdens He never assigned. And some of you are exhausted. Not because you are weak, but because you are carrying what God already told you to drop. He said, walk away, and you waited. He said, set boundaries, and you compromised. He said, protect your peace, and you silenced yourself. But now God is making it unmistakable. The discomfort in your soul is not random, it is revelation. It is God's way of saying, this is not for you. There is more ahead, but you must let go of what holds you back. And here's what you must grasp. Your spirit will never be at peace when you are entangled with people who were not assigned to your purpose. You can fake it with smiles. You can mask it with activity. But deep down your soul knows when you are off path. God placed that compass in you, that still small voice that whispers, you deserve better. That unshakable awareness that you're shrinking in a place where you were meant to grow. That inner fire that won't be silenced by emotional crumbs. That is God pulling you toward clarity, freedom, and sacred alignment. And the moment you choose obedience over emotional attachment, your life will shift. Doors you couldn't force open will begin to swing. Weight you thought you had to carry will suddenly lift. People you once chased will fade without a fight. Because when you let go of who doesn't care, you make space for what God does. You make room for relationships where your presence is appreciated. You create margin for connections that reflect the peace and respect your soul has been starving for. So don't cry over closed doors that God Himself shut. Don't mourn people who walked out while you were trying to build a future with them. Don't lose sleep over those who had access to your heart and still chose to mistreat it. Let them go, not with hatred, but with holy clarity. Let them leave, and let your heart remain free of bitterness, filled instead with overwhelming gratitude that God stepped in and accomplished what you never could. You are not a victim. You are victorious. You are not rejected. You are divinely protected. You are not empty. You are being made ready. And when God completes the work He began in you, those who overlooked you will not recognize the person who rises from this refining fire. Because what is ahead is not only healing, it is transformation. It is strength. It is divine elevation. But first you must obey the voice that says, enough. Enough of doubting your value. Enough of accepting what God has already revealed. Enough of weeping over people who take pleasure in your pain. God has something greater. God has something pure. God has something true. But you must choose truth over what feels familiar. You must choose obedience over comfort. You must choose peace over the presence of those who wound you. And when you do, God will surround you. God will lift you. God will breathe fresh life into the places you once believed were gone. And you will rise, not with anger, but with awe. Not marked by scars alone, but filled with strength. Not covered in shame, but anchored in purpose. Because you chose to trust the one who never walked away from you. God was there when they left. God was there when the pain felt too heavy to bear. God was there when the silence felt louder than any voice. And God is here even now, still speaking, still leading, still saying, I have more for you. Let that truth settle deep within you. Let that fire direct your steps. And let your heart come alive again, not for those who were careless with it, but for the one who has always cared.